to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another video, and I'll have a few videos up today. I'm hoping to have at least one, if not two, Giants videos up. I know a lot of people have asked me about the Mets. I'll try to have a couple of Mets videos up in the near future, not today, and I'll have some Knicks coverage up during the trade deadline. But obviously, it's predominantly Giants focused, and it will continue to be this entire offseason. But I wanted to recap the Super Bowl. I also wanted to say thank you to all my phenomenal subscribers. I hit 20,000 subscribers yesterday, something I never would have thought in my wildest dreams I'd ever hit when I started YouTube less than 2 years ago, about a year and 8 or 9 months now. And, you know, I owe it all to you guys, all my loyal subscribers who do that for me. But I wanted to jump into the video and talk about the Super Bowl. Obviously, the biggest game on the planet. I meant to have this video up earlier. It was a late night last night. I enjoyed the game. But just such a great storyline going into this game. I'm a guy that strongly believes in the running game and defense. I think that's how you win Super Bowls. I've always thought that. Now, when you have a supremely talented quarterback like Pat Mahomes, sometimes he takes over, and that's what happened in this game. But before I get into the complete recap, I kind of want to talk about how these teams got here this season, and and also talk about the accomplishments over Andy Reid's career and why I'm so happy that he won a Super Bowl. I also think that Pat Mahomes has officially, if you didn't think so already, taken over as the best player on the planet. But yeah, we'll start, this season. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs have always been a consistent winner since Andy Reid has taken over. This is his 7th year. They've never had a losing season. So I wasn't too surprised that the Chiefs got here. After all, they were in the AFC title game last year, and they could have easily won that game had it not been for a few penalties. It may have went their way. I think that game went to overtime, if I remember correctly. The San Francisco 49ers came out of nowhere. Now, a lot of people thought going into the season the Niners would be a vastly improved team, but I don't think anybody imagined this. To go from the basement all the way up to 13-3 in a Super Bowl appearance is an incredible accomplishment by the San Francisco 49ers, and, they deserve to be here, and they built their team the right way. Kyle Shanahan is a phenomenal coach, and I have no doubt that they will remain competitive. We'll see if they have a Super Bowl hangover. Now, that does happen. Most people would have thought the same thing about the Rams going into this season. Obviously, it's a known thing. A lot of times when a team loses a Super Bowl, they have a disappointing team the next year, and it's certainly possible. If I was a 49er fan, the one thing I'd worry about, obviously, a lot of your success this year has had to do with the pre-snap motions, and it's a league where once teams get film on you, they learn to adjust to it. So the Niners will have to come up with something new, because I do think that had a lot to do with their success. I'd also question him whether or not Garoppolo is the guy that could get me to win a Super Bowl, because he did have opportunities in this game, and he did not make the most out of them against an average to slightly above average defense. And the Chiefs defense played great in this game. I give them all the credit in the world. They're a phenomenal football team, and they overcame deficit after deficit after deficit throughout this entire playoff run. They were down 24 points against the Houston Texans in the first round, in the first quarter. They had the lead by halftime. Then they were down 10 points against a team that was very similar in terms of playing style to the San Francisco 49ers. Not as good, but the Tennessee Titans were built with the ground attack. They were built with a stout defense. They got out to a 10-point lead. They're an incredibly tough team to come back against, and Pat Mahomes did that. And then in this game, the Niners do a great job before the half. After Garoppolo throws the pick to hold them to 3, they go into the half tied 10 apiece, and then they come out, they take the lead, they take a 20-10 lead going into the fourth quarter. Pat Mahomes makes a couple of sloppy throws. When he throws that second interception with 12 minutes to go, I thought the game was over. Then you only got 7 minutes left in the game against the best defense in football. And Pat Mahomes leads his team to 21 unanswered points in the last 7 minutes of that football game. And it was an incredible performance, and I am so happy for Andy Reid. And the difference in this game really was one quarterback made the throw, the other quarterback didn't when given the opportunity. That's what decided this game. And it was two incredibly different teams in terms of style, but at the same time, both coaches are known for offense, right? Shanahan's an offensive mind. Reid's an offensive mind. They both had a week to prepare, 2 weeks to prepare, an extra week to prepare, and you saw them come out with, little different things that, different than usual. You saw the direct handoff to Kelsey. You saw a couple of end arounds with Deebo Samuel, and they definitely showed innovation. Both coaches, they both called a pretty good game. I can't get on either one. At the end of the day, the better quarterback, the best quarterback on the planet, Pat Mahomes put his team on his back down the stretch and made the plays when they needed to be made. And that is what being a champion is all about. And I am so happy for Andy Reid. You know, if you're a member of my if you're a subscriber of my channel, if you watch my live streams, I always give this guy praise because he deserves it. Andy Reid to me is one of the most underappreciated coaches in the history of football. I said going into this game that he, in my opinion, at least since I've been watching the sport, is the greatest coach not to have a Super Bowl championship. And that's my honest opinion. And now he has one. So now he's just one of the greatest coaches who's ever lived. When you look at his career record, the fact that he's done it in 2 different conferences, it's incredible. He has a career record of 207 and 128 for a 618 winning percentage. And like I said, he did it with both the Eagles and the Chiefs. And the majority of the winning with the Chiefs, that was before Pat Mahomes. His first 5 years here with the Chiefs was with Alex Smith. He didn't have Pat Mahomes. So deserves so much credit for what he did. When he inherited this job, the Chiefs were 2-14 the year before. Since then, he has not had a season in his 7 years where he's had less than 9 wins. In his 21 years as a head coach, 18 of those have been over 500. Just incredible things when you really dig into his numbers. 11 of the 21 seasons, he's had 11 or more wins. More than half of his years. And like I said, he's done it with 2 different teams in 2 different conferences. He's had double-digit wins 6 of the 7 years, 11 or more, 5 of the 7 with the Chiefs. And I was so happy when the Eagles let him go. Obviously, me being a Giants fan, because they went 4-12 that year, but a lot of that had to do with injuries, things like that. I thought that the Eagles let go of a great coach, and they did. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and he deserves it, and he will be in Canton one day. And good for Andy Reid, man. I felt horrible for him a few years ago when he lost his son. Like I said, man, one of the best offensive minds in the history of football. I mean, some of the things this guy does, it doesn't matter who's back there in the backfield at running back. It doesn't matter who's the quarterback. They get it done. Even when Pat Mahomes went down this year, they were able to, stay afloat. I think due in large part to Andy Reid and his offensive innovation. Now, that's not taking anything away from Pat Mahomes. Yes, Pat Mahomes has given a great foundation with Andy Reid, with Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce, with all these weapons. But regardless, Pat Mahomes is a special talent. I say all the time that Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play. I got to see Dan Marino at the tail end of his career. Pat Mahomes is just as talented, if not more talented, and he's only been a starter for 2 years. If this guy can stay healthy, he is going to be one of the, if not the greatest, one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever lived. So it is a treat to get to watch him play. And the difference in this game, like I was saying earlier, was the throw. Pat Mahomes made the throw to Tyreek Hill when it needed to be made late in the game to get his team back in it against the best defense in the sport all year. He hit on that 40 or 50-yard pass, and Jimmy Garoppolo, once the Chiefs took the lead, had an opportunity to hit Emmanuel Sanders deep down the field, for a touchdown if he hits him in stride, and he overthrew him by 4 or 5 yards, and that was the difference in this game. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo played fairly well for the first 2.5, 3 quarters, but when it mattered most and when they needed him, Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't get it done. So as much as I say it's a defensive league and you win in the trenches, which I still believe you do, when you have a quarterback like Pat Mahomes, he could overcome almost anything. And, he's shown it this entire playoff run. Now, the problem is, if you're a team of another football team like I am of the Giants or anyone else, those quarterbacks don't grow on trees. I can count on one hand, the amount of quarterbacks since I've been watching football over 30 years that are as talented as Pat Mahomes. So I still think the more conventional approach is to build the team the way the 49ers have and give your quarterback the best foundation possible, build through the ground game, build through the defense. But when you have a quarterback like Pat Mahomes, that guy can overcome anything, as he's done this entire playoff run. And he's a phenomenal talent. And it was a great game, one of the better Super Bowls I've seen. I know, like I said, the final score was an 11-point difference, but it came down to the wire. It was not decided until the final minutes. When I think of the greatest Super Bowls I've seen, it's that one. Broncos-Packers was great. Obviously, both Giants Super Bowls were great. The Cardinals and the Steelers were a great one. The Titans-Rams were a great one. And obviously all the Patriots ones are always close. The Super Bowls are much more competitive than they were when I was a kid. When I was a kid, the NFC used to dominate the AFC. But I knew this game was going to be a great one going in, and it did not disappoint. Now the question is, going into next year, will the 49ers have a hangover? And I am going to go out on a limb and say that they will. I'm not saying they'll necessarily miss the playoffs, but I don't think they get back to the promised land. Sometimes when you're a team, you have to take advantage of the opportunity given to you. And the 49ers were unable to do that. They had a 10-point lead with 7 minutes to go in the football game, and they took their foot off the gas. You look at other teams that have been in a very similar situation in recent history. The Falcons fell off the next year. The Rams fell off the next year. It happens a lot. I know as a Giants fan, even though in 2008 we didn't. We shot ourselves in the foot, literally. But a lot of times they do fall off. And hopefully if you're a 49er fan, that does not happen. I like your football team. I like the way it's built. You do play in a tough division. I'm probably still going to pick you guys to make the playoffs. But I don't see you getting back to the Super Bowl next year. But I could be wrong. Go out there and prove me wrong. As far as the Chiefs go, you got everything you need. You've got one of the best coaches on the planet. You've got the best quarterback on the planet. And, the defense is improved. And the Chiefs very well may go back-to-back. As a matter of fact, if I was to pick it right now, I'd pick the Chiefs to go back-to-back because Pat Mahomes is that special. He displayed it throughout this entire playoffs. So congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. 49ers fans, you had a great season. And, hopefully for your sake, you could duplicate it next year. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out in free agency and the draft. But, yeah, man, I had a great time watching that game. It was a phenomenal contest. And, we'll see you next year. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.